Hey everyone, last week we met on Zoom and we went over some examples of dihybrid Punnett squares. I know that not everyone was able to make that Zoom, so here's a quick video going over some of the information that we went over in case you were not there with us. So we have this document that I shared with you guys. It's called, it's called BioB Dihybrid Lesson Practice. And so if you want to follow along, go ahead and open up that doc. And we've got a little blurb and a table with some characteristics. And then there are 4 scenarios on this doc. In this video, we're going to go over scenarios 1 and 2. So we're going to start with scenario 1. Now, scenario 1 says a tall yellow plant was crossed with a short green plant. All of the offspring were yellow and tall. So it has a spot where it wants you to list out the traits and talk about what traits are dominant and what traits are recessive. And so what we're going to do is we're going to read this first scenario again, and we're going to try to pull out those important traits. So it says a tall yellow plant was crossed with a short green plant. And those are going to be our 4 traits. So that's where we've got our 1, 2, 3, 4. So we've got tall, yellow, short, and green. Okay, the next thing that I want you to look at is to list which traits are dominant and which traits are recessive. And to do that, you're going to use this table up here. Okay, so now we have all of our starting information done. And so it says, can you predict the parent's genotype? And then it says to use Y's and T's for tall, or for color and height, I'm sorry. So we are going to take a look at our scenario again, and it says a tall yellow plant was crossed with a short green plant. All of the offspring are yellow and tall. Okay, now when we take a look at our information about the parents and the offspring, we know because of our chart that dominant is tall and yellow and recessive is short and green. So we can start right off the bat with this parent here. If this parent is showing short and green, they're actually showing both of the recessive traits. And in order to show recessive traits, you have to be homozygous recessive. So we know that. Now, we also see that all the offspring are tall and yellow. So in order for the offspring to show tall and yellow every single time, we know that our parents must be homozygous dominant. So we've got parent 1, homozygous dominant, and parent 2, homozygous recessive. The next thing it says to do is to create a Punnett square for this scenario. Now, when I draw this Punnett square, since I have 2 different traits, I have height and color, our Punnett square is going to be a little bit bigger than we're used to. So what we're going to do is we're going to draw our square, and we are going to have a spot for plant 1 and plant 2 and their genes. So their genes will go on this outermost layer here, so that one won't have anything. But we're going to do 4 boxes. I'm going to pause so that we don't use time on our video to make the Punnett square. So hold on. Okay, now that we have our Punnett square drawn, we're going to go ahead and figure out how we're going to fill in the genotypes of plant 1 and plant 2. Now we know that plant 1 is homozygous dominant, so they have capital, lowercase, or all capital, I'm sorry. And plant 2 is homozygous recessive, so they are all lowercase. To figure out how you're going to fill in these genotypes into the appropriate boxes, we're going to do FOIL. FOIL is first, outer, inner, last, just like in math. So if our genotype is capital, we're going to take the first 2 alleles from each genotype, and those are going to be our first square. Then we're going to take our outer 2 alleles, and those are going to be the next one. Then we're going to take our inner 2 alleles. Those will go in your third box, and our last 2 alleles, and those will go in the last box. Now, hopefully you notice that since we are homozygous dominant, all of the genotypes are the same. It's going to be the same for homozygous recessive. Okay, so now that we have that done, we're going to take each box and combine them just like a traditional Punnett square, writing the capital letters first. Okay, so now that we have all of these written down, I can see that each square of offspring has a capital T, a lowercase t, a capital Y, and a lowercase y. And since we have a capital and a capital in each offspring box, we know that every single offspring is going to be tall and yellow.